The first, blessedness, poor in spirit. The second, mourner. The third, meek. The fourth, hunger and thirst after righteousness. The fifth, merciful. The sixth, pure in heart. The seventh, peacemakers. The eighth, persecuted for righteousness' sake. Keeping in mind that being persecuted for righteousness is repeated in verse 11 and 12 as well. So you can count them as more than 8. If 11 and 12 are counted, of course, as separate. And these 8 blessings are the concentration of the blessing of God. This describes a life in which the blessing of God is saturated, full of, not just with a car with 2 horsepower, but we're talking about a jeep or a helicopter or a supersonic jet with enormous power. Not in the shed or the apartment under rent or just a house or a mansion, but with something even greater. A nice place with natural wooden floorboards, with a nice view and nice positioning in the summer and winter towards the sun. Verse 13, you are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? Is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. These attributes, these things in us, make us to be salty salt. The saltiness of the salt depends on the minerals it contains, the constituents of the salt. Of course, we know people buy salt that has 70% natric chloride and think they are consuming healthy salt, but they are actually blocking or clogging their arteries. And the sand constituents cut the veins in their body and cause internal bleeding and affect their wounds closing up quickly. People are told they have bad cholesterol levels, but it's usually because of the bad salt they are taking in that is like cholesterol. The problem is not in eggs. Eggs are very healthy for consuming. The human body benefits from real salt with real mineral constituents. And when the minerals are absorbed, they go into your bones, into your teeth. And for years, you eat salt and you have no high blood pressure. What are all these stories about that we see in different posts online? There's sea salt, there's Himalayan salt that's not with sand and it's pure. How can you understand if the salt is pure? Well, put it in salt. Dissolve it in salt. If you see sand and glass, which is what is used to create a lot of the harmful salt, you will see it when dissolved. And you can evaporate the water. Now, I'm trying to say that we want real salt. Salty salt in the earth as Christians. Jesus said, you are the salt of the earth. Bless this world. Salty Christians are the Christians who have the right mineral constituents. They have these good attributes that were mentioned from verse 3 to verse 12. They have the blessings working in their lives. If you can see God, you are a blessing. If you are merciful, you are salty. If you have the heavenly rewards, you are salty. These things guarantee us victory and rewards from God. And this is how we become real salt of the earth Jesus is talking about. What's the benefit of salt in the earth? What does salt do? Salt delays or prevents decay. People have hunted wild game and beasts, bisons, and so on. And on salting the meat, they've hung it up on wooden beams within their houses to last all winter or through the harsh weather conditions, so that when summer comes or the season of hunting comes again, they will have enough meat during that time until the next hunting season comes. They take the salty meat, freeze the salty meat, dry it, they put it in their sleighs, and the dogs draw the sleighs, and they store it for different seasons, and are even used for expeditions around the world. For consumption during that time. And the devil and demons constantly work to decay or corrupt the minds of children. Do you know this? Hollywood, Disney. A person goes into a bookshop or into a shop, there's a wide screen or a plasma screen with the filth of the world. Someone goes to have a nice, quiet meal in a restaurant or a fast food place. Not everywhere, some places. And there's music. Loud music and screens everywhere with images. Why? Because the devil is trying to decay people's minds and thinking. He's trying to get into the minds of the children. Just like Pharaoh was trying to kill the children in Egypt. Or when Jesus was born, Herod tried to kill the children. And he actually killed the children in that region. Thousands probably of children. The devil has no mercy. He has no respect to holy things, to morals, to decency, to holiness. And unclean people have no conscience. They have a seared conscience. It doesn't function. Since anything gives them demonic control and money, they are ready to do it at the expense of people's lives and destinies. The antidote to this decay is salty Christians. Salty Christians. What prevents decay? And I will continue to say it. I've been saying it and I will continue to say it. I do not pay for cable television and all its multiple channels. I don't pay for cable satellite television. Hey, brother, what is this $12 to $15 a month? What is that to you? If 20,000 people give $12 to $15 a month, how much is that? How much is that? 15 multiplied by 20,000. Add all the zeros. You have about $300,000. Is that correct? So, if 20,000 Christians in Sofia or more across the world are paying $12 to $15 a month to a provider of these channels with filth, let me say it a bit milder. If they have the godly initiative to say, these 20,000 subscribers say to their operators, we want Pastor Krasimir Mirchev, or we want a good preacher on our channels. They will say, who are you? For instance, they ask me, who are you that our subscribers are asking for you? I say, I'm a pastor, and I have clips on the internet, you can watch them. And they say, okay, bring your programs. And people will now be watching the productions of Brother Vesco. We could even say, okay, we want you to pay us this amount every month for rights, copyright. And of course, the cable operators or TV channel providers will now have to provide these programs because the subscribers want them. But why haven't they said, Oh, on your television, you talk a lot on your satellite channels against God and about evolution. Why don't subscribers tell their cable TV providers such things? Do you know that if Christians do this, there will be Christian television on every available satellite channel? In America, they do this. Christians in America write letters and say, we want this kind of Christian television from you, from henceforth, if you want us to be your customer. And what do? They give them Christian television. Now, let's say these 20,000 Christians say we won't waste our time with worldly television. We won't allow the devil to train our children with his evil. We don't need this. We want to bring up our children. We don't want the world to raise our children. And instead of giving these $12 to $15, which is 20 Bulgarian leva a month for these satellite stations, every Christian will give this 20 leva or $12 to $15 in their offering in the church or for the work of God in their local church all over the world. Now, imagine this amount spread across 10, 50 or 100 churches in a month. Do you think it will increase the effectiveness or the work that these churches can do a month? Of course it will. Let's say 400 churches. $400,000 or $300,000 across 300 churches. A lot can be done for the gospel. If they are spread across a smaller amount of churches, you have even more money. But whether it's in one church that has 500,000 more, or another one has less or more, it can be used for Bibles, it can be used for books, it can be used for feeding the poor, for providing accommodation for the homeless. Christian radio can be set up. A building can be bought for a church. A building can be built for another church. Missionaries can be sent. Pastors can be sponsored. It's good for us to live with this thinking that we are the salt of the earth. The European Union is not what will free Bulgaria. Yeah, of course, it has freed Bulgaria, but in a couple of negative ways. We are the salt of the earth. Not the president, not the prime minister. We are the salt of the earth. They are good businessmen. Glory to God. God bless them. But they are not the salt of the earth. The salt of the earth are we, Christians, believers, the saints of God. And if we have these attributes, this blessedness in us, if we understand that we should not make small compromises at all in our lives. In the last place I lived, I had free satellite television. The previous tenant ended their contract, but they had not disconnected the cable television. They had not cut off the cable. And so the television was still working when we moved in. We didn't use it. Maybe only when we watched Discovery Channel from time to time or over the New Year. But as a whole, we never used it. For months on end, the cable was hanging there, but we never connected it. And we never paid for it. We moved to a new place. And here, we started getting advertisements. Would you like TV? Would you like cable TV? Would you like this channel or that channel? But the cable from the old operator we never used. We could have connected it and used, but we never used it. A person can think, these are minor things, small things. But have you heard that we have a proverbial saying in Bulgaria that is the little stones that overturn the cart? Brothers and sisters, there's an expression. It may sound crude to you, but to me it sounds very intelligent. You can hit them in the pocket where it hurts most. These evil people. There are some people that this is the only language they understand. For something to hit their bank accounts or their pockets. And then they think,
Най-накрая след
oh,
просветителна
at last,
дейност от умни хора,
after so many years, people now understand that if their children eat McDonald's, they will become eternally fat.
да.
Museum exponents.
На Запад, в Америка, хора
And many people began to boycott McDonald's.
отпадат от Макдоналдс. Веднага решиха,
And look at what happened.
здравословни продукти. Това ще
McDonald's now began to put healthier lines of foods. Why? Because they were hitting their pockets or in their bank account. Oh, people are looking for healthy food. Let's offer them something healthy to eat. We are the salt of the earth,
и ние сме солени,
and we are salty with all our decisions and all that we do.